Hello, sports fans. This is the Bookmaker Podcast with Art Eftekhari, a.k.a. Mr. Bookmaker, your source for the sports betting industry 24/7. Sit back, relax, and listen as Mr. Bookmaker highlights what's happening right now in the world of sports. So, without further ado, here's your host, Art Eftekhari.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Bookmaker Podcast. I'm your host, Art Eftekhari. Great to have you with us. Before we begin, make sure you're checking out our website. You know the address, www.bookmakerinfo.com. That's bookmaker-info.com. You know we got the links to the best European and Asian bookmaker sites, as well as United States-friendly bookmaker sites as well. Don't forget to download our Bookmaker 101 Basics and our Bookmaker Guide, as well as our A to Z sports betting lingo. In fact, we'll be visiting that a little bit later to share basically what would be our concept of the week, or our term of the week, if you want to call it that. And before we begin, a lot to talk about that has been going on in the world of sports recently. And first, how about the Pittsburgh Penguins defeating the Nashville Predators 2-0 in Game 6 that was in Nashville. That took place on Sunday, the 11th of June. The Pittsburgh Penguins, great franchise of the National Hockey League. They're looking good. Another Stanley Cup for them. Also, the NBA Finals are now officially over, and the Golden State Warriors defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers 129-120 in Game 5 as they were able to celebrate and hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy in front of their home fans. And with this, before moving on a bit, I was, taking a look at my Facebook feed, and I saw a very interesting quote from a friend of mine. His name is Jordan. This is what he had to say. Quote, "If I have learned anything over the last year, it would be from Kevin Durant, who taught me that if you can't achieve the success you want off of your own hard work, just give up and ride the coattails of others." End quote. And you know what? That is actually a very interesting quote from Jordan. And as for Kevin Durant, that's exactly what he did. And what about the FIFA Under-20 World Cup? I gotta be quick to say how I was a little bit hurt that Venezuela were unable to complete their fairy tale story in that tournament. I mean, from the very beginning, when they started off with a 2-0 win over Germany, they just kept on winning. They were a lot of fun to watch. And they fell to England in the final of the Under-20 World Cup, losing 1-0. And the Venezuelans even missed a penalty. Ouch. Poor guys. But what about for England? English football fans for a long time have just been desperately waiting and hoping for the next time to see their national team, England, win a major tournament. Maybe this victory by England in the U-20 World Cup might just set the stage for England to win the World Cup in Russia 2018. Yeah, and Grizzly Adams had a beard.
Grizzly Adams did have a beard.
And I hope you all enjoyed the World Cup qualifiers over the weekend. There were some good matches. For those who are big fans of France, that game against Sweden did not end on a good note. Hugo Lloris, the keeper of France, huge mistake as he gave that ball away. Huge 2-1 win for Sweden. What about the United States, leaving Azteca Stadium in Mexico City with a 1-1 draw? All the American soccer fans are beyond ecstatic about that one. And what about the teams that will be in the World Cup? Well, there's still a good amount of World Cup qualifying to go, but so far you have Russia the hosts, Brazil, 5-time World Cup winners, and Iran, who actually just qualified by defeating Uzbekistan 2-0. This is actually the first time ever that Iran have qualified for consecutive World Cups. Okay, everybody, let's get right to it. The FIFA Confederations Cup will be starting in Russia. That'll be on Saturday, the 17th of June. And earlier I mentioned the A to Z sports betting lingo that we have on our website, bookmakerinfo.com. That's bookmaker-info.com. Today, we'll be focusing on the Asian handicap. Now, what does this mean? This actually refers to spread betting in soccer. The Asian handicap removes the possibility of a draw result, which increases the chances of a bettor turning a profit significantly. You hear that? I'm talking about you turning a profit significantly. Now, usually they say there are only two outcomes with an Asian handicap. You have a home or away win, with a possible push for money back on a draw, depending on the handicap. Now, the opening game of the 2017 FIFA Confederations Cup will be between hosts Russia and New Zealand. First, I'm going to share with you the normal odds here from SBOBET.com. That's www.sbobet.com. For Russia, the payout here shows 1.29, 4.90 for a draw, and 9.75 for New Zealand. Clearly, the Russians are heavily favored. Not a surprise here. So if you're on SBOBET.com, scroll down, click where it says Asian Handicap, and right now what I'm seeing, the payout here shows 1.97 for Russia, 1.95 for New Zealand. You're probably thinking to yourself, it's a little confusing, but earlier I mentioned the handicap. New Zealand here begins the match up 1.5 goals. Shows right next to their name, plus 1.50. Now with the Asian handicap, this is really based on weighing the strength of the opponents. As I mentioned earlier, the Russians are heavily favored. So let's just say you decide that you want to do the Asian handicap bet and you want to place your bet on New Zealand. Maybe you're thinking, why am I telling you this? But when it says plus 1.5, that means New Zealand are starting the game winning by 1.5 goals. Yes, I know you cannot score half a goal in soccer or football, but let's move past that. If that match ends in a draw and you placed your bet on New Zealand, that means you win. If Russia win by a goal, that means you still win. Basically, in order for you to lose that, Russia will have to beat New Zealand by 2 or more goals. Now, in all honesty, is that a reasonable result to come up with? Well, let's see, seeing as how I've been given the nickname Mr. Bookmaker, I would like to say that that is a reasonable handicap there. The Russians are heavily favored, it's in their own country, all their players play in the Russian Premier League. New Zealand, that's more of a rugby nation, so I'm gonna have to say that with Russia, I think that if you decide to place your stake on Russia to win by 2 or more goals, that should work out just fine for you. But there are going to be some of those people that think that New Zealand will be able to park the bus for a long time. Maybe Russia finds the breakthrough really late, and by then they might be worn out. But look, I don't want to keep going back and forth. I'm going to tell you, I think if you want to go with a handicap bet, you should go with Russia. I definitely see them winning by more than 2 goals against New Zealand. Then on the next day, Sunday, the 18th of June, you got Portugal against Mexico. The payout here shows 2.18 for Portugal, 3.00 for a draw, and 3.45 for Mexico. I'm going to be quick to say, I think Mexico should be able to take Portugal in that match. I know Portugal have Cristiano Ronaldo, but Mexico definitely will be able to hang with them. Also on that same day, you got Chile versus Cameroon. The payout here for Chile shows 1.61, 4.00 for a draw, and 4.80 for Cameroon. Then on Monday, the 19th of June, you got Germany against Australia. Payout here shows 1.41 for Germany, 4.30 for a draw, and 7.20 for Australia. And for the 2 groups of the Confederations Cup, just want to refresh your memory in case you haven't looked at the standings lately. In Group A, you have Russia, New Zealand, Mexico, and Portugal. And in Group B, you got Germany, Australia, Chile, and Cameroon. Should be an entertaining tournament. And like I said, with those odds I just shared with you, take a look at the Asian handicap as well. For Germany and Australia, you might want to place a stake on Australia. It'll be the same kind. They'll enter the match with a 1.5 lead. The payout here shows 2.20 for Germany, 1.75 for Australia. So like I was saying earlier, if Australia start the match winning by 1.5 goals, so that means if they win or lose by a goal, or if they tie, you would still win the bet there if you decide to place your stake on Australia. And you know what? For that one right there, between Germany and Australia, I think that's a safe bet to take because Germany have not really sent their top squad for the Confederations Cup. And I think Australia, with their full-strength squad, I think they should be able to put up a fight against the Germans and maybe lose by a goal. So that is it for the Confederations Cup and my 2 cents on the odds and whatnot. Tournament will start on Saturday, the 17th of June. I hope you liked the explanation about the Asian handicap. I hope it opened up another can of worms for you in this whole entire online betting process as you take your love of sports to the next level. All right, we are getting closer to wrapping up this edition of the Bookmaker Podcast, but there still is another tournament for you to pay attention to. As you know, the Under-20 World Cup just finished recently in South Korea, but now you have the UEFA Under-21 European Championship that'll be taking place in Poland. 12 teams will be participating. First, in Group A, you got the hosts Poland, Slovakia, Sweden, and England. In Group B, we got Portugal, Serbia, Spain, and Macedonia. And in Group C, you have Germany, Czech Republic, Denmark, and Italy. And now I am on bet365.com. Let's take a look at the odds for the upcoming games in this opening weekend of the Euro Under-21 Championship. First, on the 16th of June, that is a Friday, you got Sweden against England. Payout here shows 7-2 for Sweden, 11-4 for a draw, 8-11 for England. Obviously, we can see that the English are favored there. Next, Poland against Slovakia, 1-1 for Poland, 13-5 for a draw, 5-2 for the Slovaks. Next on Saturday, the 17th of June, you got Portugal against Serbia. Payouts here show 4-5 for Portugal, 5-2 for a draw, 7-2 for Serbia. Spain versus Macedonia, 1-5 for the Spanish, 19-4 for a draw, 16-1 for Macedonia. Yes, that is FYR Macedonia, former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. Clearly, we can see the Spanish heavily favored there. Next, on Sunday, the 18th of June, you got Germany against the Czech Republic. Odds here show 8-13 for the Germans, 11-4 for a draw, 19-4 for the Czechs. Whoa, not showing much love there for Czech Republic. Then you got Denmark against Italy. Payout here shows 4-1 for Denmark, 5-2 for a draw, and 8-11 for the Italians. And as I was saying, I am on bet365.com. That's www.bet365.com. Now I'm taking a look at the odds for the teams to win the tournament outright. And looking over here, I can see that the Spanish, Germans, and Italians are the top 3 favorites. For Spain, 3-1 for them to take the tournament, 10-3 for the Germans, 11-2 for the Italians. Now what about the very bottom outsiders, the teams that basically everyone are saying that they have no chance to win? Let's see what the bookmakers are saying. For Serbia, 25-1. Slovakia as well, 25-1. And what about FYR Macedonia? That's a former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, 50-1 outsiders. Wow, doesn't seem like they have much of a shot. But one thing though is, with these youth tournaments, you never know what can happen. I mean, after all, Venezuela got to the FIFA U-20 World Cup final. Remember that. Alright everybody, that's it for this edition of the Bookmaker Podcast. Really glad you're able to join us. Remember, I want you to take your love of sports to the next level. Make sure you access our Bookmaker 101 Basics. I want you to know the steps on how to register, bet, and withdraw. Our Bookmaker Guide is available to download. I want you to read through it, not just once, but at least 2 or 3 times, so you can become an expert on this entire online betting process. Earlier I mentioned the A to Z sports betting lingo. Remember, learn it, live it, love it.
I want the kids in bed by 9. I want the dog fed, the yard watered, and the gate locked. And get a note to the milkman. No more cheese.
This has been the Bookmaker Podcast with Art Eftekhari, aka Mr. Bookmaker. Thanks for listening. If you haven't already, please show some love by subscribing to this podcast on iTunes or Stitcher. Till next time, this is Mr. Bookmaker over and out.